let's just check it out here real quick and see what we got. So we're going to line up the bend with the bend on the handguard. And that looks great. That's what that's going to look like. That is awesome. I just have to mark the holes, drill them, and mount it up. And that's really going to be a great extension for that. That's going to look so cool. Hey there, Christopher Thunder, coming to you from the world's dirtiest workshop. Today I'm going to be making a handguard extension, just for coolness factor, fun practice for my hot plastic bending brake. I made some paper templates. So here is a handguard, and I even put the folds in it, right? And I marked it for its mounting holes. Then I came up with this really wacky idea of putting this over top of the handguard, just like that. So this part is clear and you can see through it. And that's going to make the handguard considerably bigger. But with the angles and everything, it still has that coolness factor. And you can partially see through the handguard, which is even more cool than that. So we're going to try and make this thing using my plastic bending brake, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it today. Let's see if I can actually do it. Give everybody an idea as to what I'm going to make. I'm going to use this scrap piece of plastic here. So it's already got an angle in it, but the angle's wrong. If I just lay that up against there, where the angle is, I'm going to have to match up the angle and create a clear piece of plastic as an extension to that, so that when it comes up against the windshield, it clears it. So I'm going to have to be very careful as to where I put it, so I'm going to have to mock it up. Move the handlebars lock to lock, make sure that both shields don't touch, and then probably bolt them in. Maybe glue and bolt them in, and paint the lower portion there where it's red, black or something like that, so that you can't see the glue. So, boy, wouldn't that be awesome? So let's maybe give that a try. Alright folks, I got the plastic bender out. Now I've wrapped the power supply in a t-shirt because I haven't taken the time to put this whole thing in a box and set up the cooling system, but here it is. Now, to set this thing up, all I got to do is pull out the power supply and untangle the wires. So within a few seconds, that wire should start to glow red hot. Can everybody see that? Okay, so I'm ready to bend. Now, I haven't really kept this thing running for, say, an hour or two. I've kept it running for half an hour, and it's been pretty reliable and hasn't set anything on fire. So, hey, that's not half bad if you can do that. Now, the next thing to do is to find a piece of plastic that you intend to bend. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a practice piece with the cover still on it, and I want to see if I can match the bend using the angle gauge that I made. So here is the angle gauge that I just made. I got to be careful not to touch that. So there it is, and it's pretty tight so it won't bump if I move it. So you want to make sure that this bolt here is pretty snug. And I'm going to bend this to match that angle. Okay, so that's the job, to bend this piece of scrap to that angle. You get one practice shot and one good shot. So you better get it right once. All right, so I got to be careful not to set down the gauge near the power supply because it is made of metal. So now I have some reference lines that I can use. So if I go up here with the wire, I know that I've got a perfect 90-degree bend out of it. So that's one thing I wanted to try. Okay, we got about 5 seconds to go here. I have drawn the angle from the gauge right on my bender here. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to pull this out and we're going to try and bend it. That wasn't enough. Okay, I tried it once before and it didn't go quite right, so we're going to go for 1 minute 20 seconds now. So we're going to go start. We're going to move this up. We're going to set it. Now, one of the things about working with a right triangle that I messed up on earlier is, which way is your line? So I'm going to mark with a pencil which way the line is. One of the things I can do is make sure I have a template ready with the actual angle on it. Now, I already drew the angle on my bender here that I'm trying to achieve. So this is angle number 1. So I have 2 angles I need to work with. Hold her steady. And that's roughly the angle I'm trying to achieve. Okay, so we're going to try bend number 2 here. The first one wasn't successful. I just gave it more time. And hopefully you've got a proper bend out of it. Yeah, that's actually okay. So with the protective coating, it needs 1 minute 20 seconds. 1 minute 20 seconds. Here comes my wife. You can see here I've used my angle gauge to get me bend number 1 and bend number 2. When I bent these handguards, I didn't use an angle gauge, I just wanted to get them bent. So you can see the angles are similar, but they're not perfect. Then I have to remember that I'm bending one this way and I'm bending one that way. So if I have the protective covering on one side, I've got to remember to bend one this way and one that way. And the other thing is I decided I was going to make a trapezoid kind of a thing, where it's wider at the top and narrower at the bottom. And then I need it fairly shallow down here, right, so that I don't hit the bolts. So maybe I want to make a paper template out of that before I actually make the final shape. So let's see if we can get some paper templates going and get this project rolling. The next thing to do is to make some paper templates. This is the original from last year. That is the new paper template for now. And now I'm going to make some paper templates for the actual clear guards that are going to go right here. And my first impression is to make a trapezoid. And I have to avoid hitting the bolts. So I have to mark those on the pattern. Almost forgot to mark the bolt holes, and here they are, 3 inches apart. What I've decided to do is integrate the pattern into the original shape so that I'm using the original bolts to mount the new shield. And I'll just lock it down over here with some washers or something, but that actually will work. Maybe I can just add a bolt up there or some fasteners up top to get that to work properly. So it's actually going to look more like that. And I think I'll have it. So it's going to have a weird shape, but pretty cool nonetheless. All right, so we have a bend, which matches the plan. And it's going to go on something like that. So that's where it's going to be. And that's what it's going to look like. So now I just got to cut out the rest of it. That's awesome. Okay, there's a trick to getting bend angles correct, and that is that You need a 90 degree on that bend angle so that when you bend it, you know that it matches that pattern. So to make this happen, I ran a square along the bend line and created a 90 degree line, which I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut that plastic off first. Then I'm going to make the bend and put on that pattern, verify it, let the plastic cool down, and if it's a good bend, I'm going to cut the rest of it out and maybe drill 2 holes in it and try and bolt it on. So that's the plan. Whenever you have a big job, you have to break it down into segments, and you have to gauge your next step based on the success of the previous segment. So I'm going to make this segment as easy as possible. I have to bend on that dotted line. That's all I got to do. And I got to bend it down that way. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm not bending it up, I'm bending it down. Once you understand that, it's easy. So all I got to do is fire up the bender, slide this in, wait about 2 minutes, bend it, and bend it at the angle of bend number 1 here. And if that comes out okay, then I will cut this piece out entirely, and I should have my first piece. Yeah, that's going to be pretty good. I love it. All right, there's our 90 degree bend line. So we're going to bend it, okay, on that line. We're going to use that 90 degree reference point. We're going to put that against the piece of paper and check the bend before we move on. Let's just check it out here real quick and see what we got. So we're going to line up the bend with the bend on the handguard. And that looks great. That's what that's going to look like. That is awesome. Just have to mark the holes, drill them, and mount it up. And that's really going to be a great extension for that. That's going to look so cool. I would say, given the coolness factor and the absolute accuracy of the bend and where I'm going to make the mount points on this thing, I'm going to say, hey, that came out pretty awesome. So now I got to, drill the holes and finish up this one piece and then make the other. Hopefully I'll do an equally good job. As it turns out, with anything you're going to do, it usually takes about 3 times longer than you think it's going to take. And that's the first try. Wow, that's not half bad. Christopher Thunder here from the world's dirtiest workshop and rider of the storm. It is Texas, and I'm out here in the cold, January 2023, to show you how to be prepared for the cold when you're out here in the middle of nowhere. Well, I'm near the T4 ranch and there's gas wells everywhere. That's where I am. When it's colder, wear your armor on the inside. Zip up your jacket. A ski jacket like this with a long neck and a zipper will keep you a lot warmer in this cold weather. I want to thank everybody and have a great 2023. Bye-bye.